What's up, family? Welcome back to the channel. So glad to have you hanging out with me today. It's been a long time since I've been standing up, so I'm glad to be back in front of you, standing up in full action. So we're going to have this conversation today, which is going to be a good one. But yeah, many of you know that I traveled to LA last week, and when I got back, I had this surprise gift in my office of a desk that goes up and down. And, I wouldn't make it go up and down right now so you can see it, but there's a light leaning on it, and I don't need those problems. But it was an incredible gift. It's definitely something that I really needed. Between my job and my work, I am more bound to my desk than ever before. Many of you know that I went through an amazing weight loss journey, losing nearly 400 pounds in a few years. And a major part of that journey was realizing that my life is fairly sedentary. I've been working in offices since I was a young person. So my life is fairly sedentary. I work in front of a computer. And so I realized I needed to interject more activity into my day. Now, this isn't what the video is going to be about. It's just what I'm talking about right now. So I started taking more breaks during the day to go outside and just do some steps. I started just walking around my yard. This is several years ago. I just walk around my yard like a track. And then I just started walking in place, realized, yeah, that's just as effective. And so I started doing that and lost a lot of weight. But lately, literally between the last year and a half, the way my job has been set up and the way that my work outside of my job has been set up, I haven't really had that time to get that type of daily cardio back going on. But now that I have a desk that goes up, I could be right here doing my little video and getting my cardio in. You know what I'm saying? So this feels really good. I'm super excited about this. Yes. And man, we have some exciting things coming up. Of course, happy Winter Festival for everybody. I believe today is December the 23rd. I believe. I'm so busy sometimes I can't keep up with where the dates are. But happy Winter Festival. I hope you all are enjoying it. I hope you're enjoying this season, and I hope you're making the most of it with your family, with your community, and with your friends. I know we are in Bridge City. Yesterday, I actually sang a little song. We've been doing that a little more, but I sang a little song in our session, and it was my attempt at writing just a song about this season, kind of writing my own holiday music, right? And the words were, "Winter's upon us, but spring is coming. Seasons change, yet we still remain. Hold on to goodness, for there is shelter when we all work to find a way." And when you actually look at it, and I'm not going to make this about winter shit, but when you actually look at these winter festivals, that's what they come from. This idea that that the days were going to be getting dark, times were going to be getting hard. In order to make it through on the other side, we were going to have to work together all winter long. And that's a lot easier to do when you have some good food and some good music. And that's why you have a festival. All right. So if you haven't already, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the alert notification bell. Consider supporting, joining, or connecting with this community channel or content in any way that makes sense for you. Share this video. If you want to help us increase our reach and you want to help more people come into the light of critical thinking, share this video. This just gives them more options. It popularizes it. And then, of course, last but not least, man, we have a long line of products. We have merch, hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, stickers, you name it, we got it. And we also have books. Check them out, man. They are pretty good. They are pretty good. I'm gonna hold up mine since I'm here. Bam! Memphis, One Family Under Fire. It's a novel. So this is for readers. This is for readers. And honestly, the story that we're telling in this is so fucking phenomenal that this is one of my favorite works of art, and I cannot wait to get finished with the rest of these because there's going to be 5 of these, and all of them will be at least this thick. Oh man, and that's just getting started. That's just getting started. See, I love the freedom of being able to move around. So I've been talking for 4 minutes yet, and y'all don't know what this video is about yet, do you? Well, you should have some suspicion because there's a thumbnail and a title. Even though I haven't created the thumbnail yet or decided what the title will be, but okay, whatever will be, will be. So let's kind of jump into this. Today, I want to talk about something that I came across yesterday when we were getting ready for our Sunday sessions. getting up. I'm getting ready, getting all my stuff going on with my computer screens, making sure our notes are in place, reaching out to some of our team members, or our team members are reaching out to me, letting me know where they're going to kind of be and what they'll be doing. And then I get this notification that Ty Goodwin, Brady's sister, Ichabod, has shared this post from Michael Baisden. Um, and it was a post that basically said something along the lines that, I'm black, atheist, and polyamorous. Um, and the only person I know on my level who's not ashamed to say so. And I thought, now this is interesting. Now this is worth the conversation. Now, number one, I did know that Michael Baisden was an atheist. Um, it had kind of escaped my zeitgeist a little bit, if you will. But I didn't know that Michael Baisden was an atheist. I didn't know Michael Baisden was polyamorous, but I don't want to be that guy. But you almost want to assume that everybody's in Hollywood is low key polyamorous. Now that's joke. That's tongue in cheeks. But there's some seriousness there too. All right. So recently, Michael Baisden took to social media to remind the world that he, as a black man, is successful, atheist, and polyamorous, and proud. He periodically does this on his what do you call it, social media, um, to normalize these identities for his audience, and also in his word to thin out the crowd because it helps when you let people know that you're an atheist or that you identify. And that you attach yourself to a sexual identity that is not accepted as societally normal, then yes, you begin to see that hate, that vitriol that comes from people. And it's a very interesting phenomenon that's not just reduced to Christians. It's almost like, what is that thing? It's Strange Valley. I think I may be saying Strange Valley, Weird Valley, Hidden Valley Ranch, something like that. But it's a phenomenon that humans kind of have where we're untrusting of things that don't look like us, that look like us a little bit. Now I want to remember the name of that phenomenon. It's making me mad that I can't remember it because it fits. It fits here. It's like it's another human being, but you've determined something about that human being to be inhumane. You know what I'm saying? To be unhuman. You don't believe in God. So and it does create this type of hostility, and it's a very childish type of thing, right? Because it's like I was following you because Michael Baisden, he does content that I would consider ratchet. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean ratchet in a denigrating way, but it's like we talking about like everything. It's just really everyday conversation, right? So he's talking about sex, he's talking about who's cheating with who, who got caught doing this and stuff like that. It's that type of shock jock type of stuff. Who's fucking who? You know what I'm saying? Who's sucking what? And so it's amazing to me that Christians find out this guy isn't a Christian and like, oh, I'm not following you anymore. And I'm like, I don't know if you following the guy who's talking about who fucking who was very Christian in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like you're doing something great now. All of a sudden you got holy. Like you was fooled this whole time about what the fuck was going on here. Like, let's not play those games. Come on now, let's not do that. But so it does become very childish in the sense that, okay, so I found out that somebody identifies in a way that I do not. Now I must unfollow you. I must block you. I must do it publicly. I must make a public show of letting everybody know that I am separating from you. And literally, he had hundreds, if not thousands, of people responding, commenting on that post saying, Jesus is the only way, and I'm not associating with you if you don't believe that. This is where we are. But before you lift up your nose, please understand people in the secular community do the same type of bullshit. And that is what it is. It is bullshit, you know. Now, it's bullshit that I'm okay with because please block yourself. Dismiss the fuck out of yourself. I will always be happy. I am never mad when somebody who don't want to be here leaves. Get the fuck on there. Bye. Ain't nobody holding you here. Get the fuck on. Get the fuck on. That's me. That's just me. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. But a lot of people, so he does this periodically to kind of thin the crowd, and I actually do highly resonate with that because I like getting people the fuck away from me who don't like me, who don't want to be around me, and who can find a reason to not value me. I shared a post on Facebook this morning that that I don't stay in rooms long where I am not valued. I'm the pull-out champ of the world. You know what I'm saying? I think a few organizations have learned that about me this year. Like, I don't owe anybody shit. And so if I volunteer my time, my efforts, and you don't know how to appreciate it, oh, deuces, the hard way, the hard way. Speaking of which, there's an event that was going to be coming up next year that I was going to be a part of. No, I pulled out. I pulled out. No, because I do have that type of integrity. And I told y'all, if you've been a part of my journey for any amount of time this year, then you already know for me, leaving religious superstition was like getting up from the children's table. So the last fucking thing I'm gonna do is sit back down at somebody else's children's table. The moment I start seeing adults act like, and it's really offensive to children at this moment. But once I see that adults can't get their shit together, I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and hit the dusty road. And that's how I protect my process, and that's how I protect my progress. I am unapologetically out here to achieve something, and so I just can't slow down. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But so people, they left, they blocked them, they unfollowed them, they made a big ado about it. But this kind of prompts a broader conversation about Black atheism beyond people like Neil deGrasse Tyson and others like Hassan Olasuye, because there, and I will do that because you got Dr. Gates. There are quite a few known and recognizable Black atheists in the scientific community. Some of which that I just mentioned. There's a few females as well that I need to get their names too. I'm going to let you know this video is pretty much going to be a sausage party. It's all dudes on this list for the day. Oh, there is one woman. There is one woman, but we'll talk about that in another video. But how the existence of Black atheists challenges the assumption that faith is a prerequisite for success. Because you have to remember, for many people, deconverting or leaving superstition behind, a major fear is losing their social circle and their livelihood. Considering how deeply the presumption of religion is interwoven with everyday life in many Black communities, public figures like Michael Baisden can actually help ease this fear by demonstrating that it's possible to live openly outside the church's influence. Um, and this is very interesting. I know, at least for the Black community, and I can't speak to the whole of it because, again, the Black community is not a monolith like any other community. But this is interesting because, yes, we do, and I will do a video on many of the Black agnostics and atheist scientists that exist, which is a no-brainer. But it's because the majority of the community, that information isn't necessarily a part of the culture yet, right? Those people are not necessarily a part of the culture yet. Neil deGrasse Tyson is an anomaly in that sense, that he has become a part of the culture. Almost, and it's still a little hesitant, you know what I'm saying? But his name has popped up in more Black shit, like the movie Dope a few years ago. The main character was obsessed with Neil deGrasse Tyson. You know what I'm saying? But by far and large, that hasn't entered the cultural world. There was another person in my head who I was thinking was kind of like that too. Was like an anomaly. Oh, Johnny Cochran. Johnny Cochran, Black lawyer, very well known in the culture, but by far and large, Black lawyers are not known as famous people within the culture, if you kind of get what I'm saying here. So even though we know Neil deGrasse Tyson, we don't know Hassan. Is it Hakeem, Hassan, Hassan, Olashuye? I'm fucking people's names up today, but I'll get it right when I do the video on them. We won't know about people like Dr. Sylvester Gates, who has twins who are doing like mind-blowing work in both quantum physics and evolutionary biology. Whoa, so these type of Black thinkers, non-believers, exist in a space that by far and large is not included in what is considered a part of our cultural zeitgeist, which is part of one of those things that myself and I'm sure plenty of others are doing our best to kind of change a little bit. And that's not just a problem for the Black community. There's other communities that's a problem for too. But so when you have people who are a part of the cultural conversation who identify as atheists, when you have people who are Michael Baisden, I believe he still has a radio show. I don't listen to the radio, so that's why I don't know. But I believe he still has a radio show where he, just talks his talk. So he is a figment in the culture because he is able to be a part of people's everyday conversation. He's a part of people's routine. They hear him in the mornings or in the evenings. And then he used to have a show called Baisden After Dark. So he has, because of that, kind of become a part of the cultural zeitgeist, which again, this is one of those things that I'm really encouraging people in the secular community to do who are wanting to actually make a difference and actually are not just make a difference, who are wanting to accelerate the difference that we're already making. Is a big way in normalizing this is having weekly stuff. You know what I'm saying? Is having weekly stuff that's focused on building people, right? Just focused on the things that people want and enjoy. Doing those things plays a major role. So this conversation today is going to be about more Black atheists and non-believers like Baisden who already exist, and to talk a little bit about them. So, and in platforming this conversation, I want us to talk a little bit about recognizing the veil of religious presumption and how effective that is at promoting this continued propaganda that majority of Black people are religious. It is the religious presumption itself that makes the propaganda seem true. So even despite the rise in openly irreligious figures, countless non-believers often still remain under a religious guise, even when being outspoken about their religious beliefs or not, or lack of. So a few reasons this happens is, number one, believers have a tendency to interpret vague religious references as proof of faith. All right. So seizing on phrases like blessed or thank goodness or even thank God. Because yes, atheists do say thank God with the same type of shallow disassociation as believers do. Believers say thank God all the time, not thinking of a God when they say it. You know? You know what I'm saying? It's like if you stub your toe and you're like, oh fuck, you're not really looking for somebody to fuck. You know, and I hate that we play these games like this. It's like we're playing games like we're kindergartners. Ooh, you said God. Why you say God if you don't believe in God? Okay, let's not be stupid. Let's not. Most people who use this. Okay, number one, if you actually believed in God based on the Bible, you would not use God as a name. So yikes. But no. So people will see that you say something like, yeah, thank goodness, thank God. You say Jesus, and so see, I told you they were a believer. And if you don't believe me about this phenomenon, just think about how easy it is for a rapper to be identified as a Christian. A rapper can have 15 songs about booty butt cheeks, and have 20 more songs about killing motherfuckers, running up in their houses and snatching them up and shit. But if they say in any one of those songs, you know, dang, God did, all of a sudden, see, I told you they all Christians. They all believe in God. They're just not perfect. That's all. This is how easy it is. But this is because this is that believers need to interpret vague religious references as proof of faith so that they can feel comfortable, going back to that strange valley phenomenon reference, which I still don't, why can't I get that phrase right? But it's going back to that. You need to feel that all of the other humans in the world human the same way that you do, you know? And so even when there's evidence that their version of human is different, you might look for ways to make it like yours. So yes, this is a pimps up, hoes down type of motherfucker, but he said, thank the Lord. So he is a believer. So I don't have to deal with that dissonance right now. But then there's another step that believers will often ignore or recontextualize direct signals of non-belief in order to protect the idea that everyone is secretly a Christian. You know, so when you have, and because we're going to talk about a few of these celebrities, successful folk, but when you talk about many of these people, if you try to say, well, remember when Chris Rock said such and such, well, yeah, he may have said that, but that was really just him doing the joke, because he's a comedian. Oh, so now all of a sudden you fucking understand context. But that's how cognitive dissonance works. All right. But then another reason, and I don't know if this one gets highlighted enough, even though I think we all know it, and that is religious language is still highly profitable because it is socially accepted. There still is this idea. Well, religious language is used for virtue signaling. All right. So from a marketing perspective, it's powerful. The idea of virtue in marketing is powerful. And so if you have this language that virtue has already been presumed to be attached to, people are going to be more likely to use that language, especially in marketing. It's going to make it advantageous for public individuals who are marketing themselves to invoke religious language or God during ceremonies, speeches, or awards, even if they are privately non-religious. And many of these, well, I'll hit this last one. Nope, I got to say it or I'll forget it. Many of these are some of the primary reasons why you don't see as many Black non-believers in the success field as you would expect to see. It's because, okay, all right, here's my thing. Because I always kind of hit this. It's the source of information, the sources of our information are often highly biased, and we're not even doing the work to look for the biases, And so we have a really bad habit of not trying to get to the source of information. And I get it. That would be overwhelming to try to get to the source of every piece of information that interested you. So I get it. It's almost like a futile practice. It's not something you can do every time. But if we know we are not getting to the source of information every time, if you know that 7 times out of 10, you're not actually directly going to the source, then you need to be aware that 70% of the information you're holding on to might not be accurate. You have to be aware of that. Yeah, see, I don't run from the truth. The truth is, no, I'm not gonna check the source of every fucking thing. No. It depends on the utility of that information in my life. If I'm going to apply that information, yes, I need to see the source on this because I need to wrestle with this shit. But if I'm not going to apply any of this information, this is just knowledge going by, then I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever the fuck. That could be true. But if somebody ever comes to me and challenges that information and says, well, no, it's actually not this way, I'm not going to be like, well, no, I know for a fact because I read in Variety and in BuzzFeed. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And the reason I kind of went down that rabbit trail is because many of the articles and publications that have existed about the faith of celebrities were written by Christian journalists. And I don't even think you can call them journalists at that moment, even though I've lost much respect for journalism. Like, man, it used to be one of my favorite fields as a child. I loved studying it. But yikes. I still love the idea of press. I just do not like what journalism has become. And that likely may be me becoming older. I may be the old man. Like, get the fuck off of my yard, kid. You know what I'm saying? That's my grass, not your grass. You're standing on my fucking grass. Why are you killing my grass? It didn't do shit to you. We don't walk on this grass over here. That's what it felt like being a kid watching old folk. Old folk were really protective of their grass. It's very interesting. Very interesting. All right. But another reason non-believers tend to fly under the radar is because many times non-believers will prefer not to stir conflict, particularly in close-knit environments where challenging faith assumptions could jeopardize relationships or opportunities. And if you've been a non-believer long enough, you already know how the fuck people respond. So if they didn't get it the first time, you don't like to spend time like trying to force them to get it. There's no utility there, you know. Um, and that is the thing that you will see, that is actually common among many Black non-believers when it comes to why they don't always feel comfortable in identifying as atheists. At the end of the day, it's an issue of pragmatism. There is no many Black people many Black people could be defined as atheist, but will not identify as such because it will serve no purpose in their lives. It will serve no utility. It will not help their lives. It will not improve their lives. It will not make God any less real by identifying as such. So it's something that doesn't have, and you'll kind of hear that language. It's just not necessary. This is why, because in their mind, it does more harm than good, which is why I am one of the few atheists, Black atheists, who I non-problematically identify as atheist, as does Michael Baisden. But you'll even notice that Neil deGrasse Tyson is not comfortable identifying as an atheist. And he will say it in this way. He will say, I can be defined, I meet all the technical definitions of being an atheist. But even Neil deGrasse Tyson has been so impacted by the vitriol and the resistance that many Black people and people from minority communities have to the idea of someone being an atheist, that because he considers himself an educator and a communicator, he doesn't want to shut off any doors from people learning science. And so he just does it that way. Now he still lets people know I'm an atheist. I just don't use the label. But that's why it's the utility of it, right? But that kind of speaks to what Michael Baisden is doing here. He's doing very similar to what I'm doing. What he's saying is, no, it should be normal. This should have some utility. Oh man, I didn't mean to slip up over this. Here's the reason that it actually has utility. Labels serve a purpose. Now, unfortunately, in this country, labels have served the purpose of discrimination. But there is a larger purpose in labels. Going back to that strange valley thing. Who's like me? All right. So when for the people who don't use that label, they're going to find a harder time finding people who are more like them in that area. This is why we label everything. Labeling is a human construct, as far as we know. We don't know anything else that labels shit, But we label it to establish a point of relationship. You know what I'm saying? And so, what I realized last year, which put me at the point where I said I can't live in the closet as an atheist anymore, is that the more my very real atheism is overlooked, overshadowed, or treated like it is not a part of who I am, the less I am actually going to find people who actually resonate with me, that I can be myself with and that I can do my work with, because I'm looking for workers, and it's hard to find workers around worshipers. You know what I'm saying? I'm in preach mode now. I don't need no worshipers. I don't need no worriers. I'm just looking for workers, So the big point is, here is that for many people, that's why people like Michael Baisden and I are more firm on using the label, because we're trying to shine a light on that. No, this is a real reality. And the only way we're going to make it acceptable is when you make it more visible. And so somebody has to be willing to kind of wear that scarlet letter. I wear my scarlet letter proudly. I'm a proud atheist. Black atheist and proud. that, motherfucker. Hey, you know what I'm saying? But no, like, and so I love it. Now I get why other people don't. And of course, obviously, I respect their decision. I mean, it ain't my decision to respect that I don't respect. I actually hate when we get into conversations like that. Well, I respect fuck your respect. They don't need your respect. Your respect doesn't do shit. Your disrespect doesn't do shit unless you're actually in their lives. So let's get rid of the false piety shit. They don't need that from me, you know. But I definitely am one of those people who are like, nope, I want us to identify as it. If you're an atheist, I want you to identify as what you are. I mean, think about that. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm kind of tripping a little bit, but like, if you are an atheist, but you're not identifying as that because other people might feel some type of way, you're in the closet. It's like, if you are a man who likes other men, but you're not identifying as such, even though you're living as such, you're in the closet. You know what I'm saying? There should be nothing that I actually am, especially that I'm not ashamed of, that I should be afraid with identifying with. So no, I am an agnostic. I am an atheist. I am a humanist. I am a materialist. I'm also an author. I'm also a singer. I'm also a father. I'm also a husband. I'm also a brother. You see, not one. So that's the disingenuousness of shying away from the label as if it's just one label to rule them all. The only label, closest thing we got to a label that rules them all is being people, being human. But even that slippery slope, because then we're animals. That's a label. But then we're light, and then we're matter, and then we're just a bunch of cells. And all the way down is the point. Okay, so let's talk about this. Baisden's post highlight things that resonate with other Black atheists or agnostics in the public eye. He explicitly states that he doesn't practice religion or believe in God, while still respecting people's right to worship. Your right to worship doesn't need my respect. I don't see. I'm different. I told y'all, I'm different. He also questions financial practices like tithing, particularly when money is tight, a subject many find taboo to discuss openly. By tackling such topics, Baisden voices concern that many ex-believers share. And I 100% agree with Baisden on all of these. I did read through one of his posts where he made about the tithing situation. And the comments revealed one of the things that I keep trying to tell people that, I don't know, it seems like, but this is, and y'all have heard me say this before, if you were not a part of church infrastructure, you are not qualified to speak on how churches operated. You know what I'm saying? Point blank, period. I don't care how many Sundays you went to church. If you was in the pew and not the back room, you still don't know shit. So please stop pretending that you do, because you are a source of misinformation. And that misinformation is dangerous and it is harmful because it paints a picture of something happening that in vast majority of cases is not happening. Which, when Baisden posted about tithing, the majority of the people, can't lose here. 100% of the people who commented and defended the practice of tithing, even when your money is tight, were not pastors. Okay? It was believers. It was the people in the pews. And many of them are fucking hypocrites because most of them are not givers. The majority of churches are only surviving off of 20%, which means everybody has this story about, yeah, my family gave they last. Everybody is a fucking lie. The data does not agree. And I try to tell people, many times when you're hearing the exact same story over and over again, it is a social stereotype. It is a cultural meme that has no real basis in reality. because no one is actually inspecting what they expect. No one is actually interrogating any of this shit. Someone just gets to say something sensational and we all emotionally attach to it, and it's not actually true. And so we've actually done absolutely shit to move the envelope. Because at the end of the day, you don't actually care. You just want something to gossip about. No, this problem is bigger than just pastors telling people what to do. The people in the pews direct just as much energy to other people in the pews as they do to the pastor. You let some members find out that somebody in that church is not tithing, they're going to go to the pastor and say, such and such ain't tithing. What you doing about it? They put that pressure. So you got to understand the nuances is the big point. That's the big point. But he uses his platform to question blind adherence to tradition, including financial obligations, while openly owning his identity as an atheist, which I love. Now, obviously, Neil deGrasse Tyson, though he sometimes avoids the explicit atheist label, which we talked about, but you have other people like Hannibal Buress, Eric B. Andre, who I find to be funny as fuck, and others who may not loudly proclaim their atheism, but they have made their public stances and statements very clear. Eric B. Andre is known for saying, I'm Jew. That's Hebrew for atheist, you know. You even have Morgan Freeman, who Christians are always trying to reincorporate him and recontextualize his words to make him a Christian. And he will often recontextualize his words to make it palatable to Christians while still making it clear that he's not. One of his most pivotal lines was that he stated that humans created God rather than the other way around, which is a sociological truth. God, like that's like, I know this is going to be hard for people. God would have had to exist first in order for me to believe in a God. The fact that God doesn't enter the historical record until humans start writing stories, yikes. You know, so there is no scenario where a deity predates humanity in any of our historical records or even in the written record, you know, which means no deity wrote a book. But the truth of the matter is human evolution would have not needed to occur in that if that was the case. And when I say human evolution, I'm not even just talking about biological evolution. Sociological evolution would not have needed to occur if there was a deity who predated humanity and who already knew everything. Humans would have been fully formed as functioning, speaking individuals. We would have known how to write books from day damn one. So the fact that there is an evolutionary record of language and writing it's a pretty strong indicator that there was nothing there to teach us. You see that? So like, yes, somebody can go back and say aliens did this, but you'd first have to prove that that thing was did, right? So if you say God created humans and gave humans this, if that is the case, then humans would have this, and we don't. But it's just almost like saying, well, Jesus saved the world. Well, if Jesus saved the world, why is Jesus coming back to save the world? At the end of the day, you realize that most of this shit is absolutely nonsensical. Okay, so anyway, so he is completely, Morgan Freeman has completely distanced himself from the idea of any type of personal deity. He believes that God lives in the mind where we created him. And he says that's his higher power. And so, which is what he uses as a way to have conversations with other people. Again, not necessarily using the label of atheist, which Morgan is, I don't know if you've ever seen Morgan in his conversations. He's kind of genius like that. Because when he talks about race, when he talks about religion, he always does it in a way that you can't get around what the fuck he's saying. So someone say, well, do you believe in a God? And he's like, yeah, I believe in God. I believe in me. And yeah, but he's not going to let you separate those two concepts because in his mind, he doesn't, and that might be one of the places I get it from, he doesn't have to submit his understanding of a word to your understanding of the word. But I want you to know that Morgan is not the only one out there like that. There are quite a few black non-believers who fit the definition of atheists in every category. However, in order to make it more palatable for other people, they have chosen to redefine the way they see God. I was actually one of those atheists for about 5 to 6 years, where I absolutely did not believe in any form of a mythological version of God, but I still did ascribe to the linguistics of using God as a sociological emergent property, um, mm, or emergent phenomenon, rather. Property is not a great use of that word. So, and then you also have Samuel L. Jackson, who is has also dismissed the notion. People are like, do you feel like your talent is God given? And he's like, no, it's learned, it's grown. And he said, I read. And then of course Chris Rock uh, bluntly likened religion's hold on Black communities to a lack of historical or cultural memory, suggesting religion is a leftover from oppressive systems. And so these things exist. This language is out there in the zeitgeist. You have people like Robin Quivers, who has also made very clear that she does not share religious belief. So it exists. But it also each example underlines how how being non-religious does not preclude one from succeeding in their chosen field. It also exposes the tension that arises when non-believers dare to speak up against the assumption that every accomplished Black figure must be somehow devout, which I mean is a crazy thing to attach yourself to in the first place. Because I mean, like, damn, there's some really ratchet shit out here. Like, how are you seeing devotion in that? Anyway, so let's talk about why it matters while we close up. It matters because deconverts often worry that abandoning religious frameworks might result in losing social networks or being blacklisted by communities that see faith as a binding cultural tie. Seeing successful Black atheists or agnostics undercuts that fear and expands what it means to thrive outside of church tradition. And that is incredibly important. By openly discussing non-religious views, public figures prompt a reevaluation of how deeply religiosity is tied to Black identity. This can encourage dialogue around personal autonomy, financial responsibility, and moral reasoning that doesn't require invoking God. Because let's go back to this. Because when we talk about finances, we all talk people give the church taking people's money, and I'm like, the church doesn't lock the doors. The church doesn't have a gun pointed to anybody's head. Um, Most people don't actually believe that if they don't give, they're going to hell. If they did, the church giving rate wouldn't be 20%. So you can go ahead and disperse with that bullshit. But the other thing is, the same people who recklessly give their money at church also recklessly give their money to people. They also recklessly fall into scams because these are people who give for emotional reasons, not financial reasons. So just shutting down churches is not going to fix that shit. This idea that churches are scamming people by far and large is really misinformation. And again, it's damaging. And I know you said, but I saw my parents do this. That was your fucking parents' choice based off of the belief that they had. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, stop scapegoating people for the belief. The belief is the problem. Why are you surprised that people are doing something that they believe they're supposed to be doing? And why are you saying, no, they don't believe it? The pastor told them to do it. They fucking believe it. The pastor started as a believer. You don't just go from being a person who's never heard any of this shit to just becoming a pastor. The pastor is just as much as a victim of the bullshit as the people in the pews. And it's like the fact that people in a fucking secular community who are supposed to be critical thinkers can't get that shit is mind blowing. But I will say the one thing that I've been definitely sure to see is there are not a lot of fucking critical thinkers out here. Most people just want something to be mad about. Most people just want something to yell at. And this is why most times people in this community can't tell who's playing us. I've watched so many people come in this community and go right back out. And so I'm saved again. I'm a Christian again. Like, because we've made it easy for that shit. We've created bandwagons on this side that's easy to jump on and jump off of. When we actually start getting involved in doing work, it's going to be harder for people to jump in and jump out. turn yourself about. Jump in, jump out. Introduce yourself. My name Darante. Yeah, okay. So, I got a meeting I'm supposed to be going to, and y'all got me up here jumping in and jumping out. All right. Okay. When icons like Baisden, Chris Rock, Samuel L. Jackson, when they voice doubts or disclaim the idea of a personal God, they carve out space for countless others who've stayed silent. It becomes a statement that one can remain part of the cultural community, yet walk away from religious conventions. And I think that's something that is powerfully needed. And that's one of the reasons why I am as vocal and as active as I am. You're going to have a hard time outworking me. But in all fairness, I come from that motivational culture. Like when I was a pastor, our churches were like motivational churches. So I was preaching sermons like work hard, play hard. You know what I'm saying? I was preaching sermons like outwork the work. I was also preaching sermons like 5-finger discount, and I got 5 on it just because I'm urban and I like shit like that. But anyway, for individuals leaving superstition or rethinking faith, the visibility of openly non-religious Black figures can be transformative. It dismantles the notion that religion is indispensable to success, especially within Black communities where church culture has historically played a major role. Whether discussing finances like tithing, personal relationships, or moral decision making, these public non-believers offer proof that one can reject religious doctrines without sacrificing career or cultural identity. Their existence challenges believers' instinct to assume everyone is secretly like them and validate those who quietly hold non-religious stances, letting them know they are neither alone nor destined to fail. Ultimately, the conversation surrounding Black atheists underscores a growing realization that human value and success can stand on their own, unanchored from religious obligation. I hope you all have enjoyed this conversation today. I definitely enjoyed having it, so much so that I went beyond my time. This one was supposed to be like a 30-minute video. And so I'm a few minutes late for a meeting, but it's my meeting, so it's good. I'm the boss in this one. So it's okay, but I love y'all so much. Thank you for hanging out with me. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that alert notification bell, consider joining, supporting, or connecting with this community, channel, or content in any way that makes sense for you. And do this world a favor by sharing this video right now. Don't wait another second. Don't wait another minute. Get somebody in your mind that you can share this video with. You can share it via text message. You can share it via email. You can share it on social media to just land blast that motherfucker. But share this video so that we can continue to increase the reach of conversations like this. And then, of course, last but not least, check out our long line of product. We have hoodies, shirts, sweatshirts, t-shirts, mugs, stickers, you name it, we got it. And we have some really dope books out there. Black Non-Believer Next Door just came out. It is selling well right now. Also, Christ Held Up also came out just a few months ago, and it is also selling well. These books are incredible tools for people who are looking for more ways to live authentically with the world around them. All right, that's all I have for now. Until next time, keep rising, stay progressive, and if you can, stay beautiful out here. I'll holla.